Welcome back. The goal of this video is to give you a very quick review of slope, that thing we first started learning about right before break. So to start us off, what is slope? Well, here was our most important definition. Slope is the steepness of a line. Basically, it's how much it goes up or down over how much it goes to the left or the right. We also defined it as the change in the vertical, that's how much it goes up or down, over the change in the horizontal, that's the left to right part. Now remember, over here means that we are actually writing it as a fraction, or we are dividing the two. And finally, you most likely learned about it as rise over run. So now that you know what slope is, how do you find it? Well, it depends on what form you have your data. If you are given a graph of the line, you can either count boxes, you can figure out how much it goes up or down over how much it goes over, or you can use the slope formula. If you're just given 2 points, you have to use the slope formula. And if you're given a table, you should use the slope formula. So what was the slope formula? The slope formula looks like this. M equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now that's a really fancy way of just differentiating between the x and y value of 2 separate points. We use the 2 and the 1, these little guys, to differentiate between which point we're talking about. It doesn't matter which point we label point 2 or which we label point 1, just that we make sure we keep using the x and y value for that point. All right, the only way this really makes sense is to show you. So let me show you. All right, first from a graph. When we're finding the slope of a line from a graph, we want to pick 2 points that are clearly on the right here, like where the 2 lines meet, the lines going up and down and the lines going left and right. So anytime the line is exactly on one of those 2 points, we consider it a good point. So let's pick this point and this point. Okay. So something I'm noticing immediately, I picked 2 points and I noticed that if I look at the line going from left to right, the line is going down. That means I should end up with a negative slope. So I'm going to decide that this top point is point 2 and this bottom point is point 1. It really doesn't matter which is which. I just need to know that there are 2 separate points. First, I'm just going to count the boxes. I said from a graph, I can count what's happening in the y's and put it over what's happening in the x's. So let's see. From this point, it goes down 1, 2, 3 boxes. So I'm going to write that as -3 over. Then I need to know how many boxes it goes over. I was right here, so it went over 1, 2, 2. So my slope for this line is -3 over -2. Now I can also check that using the formula. So let's see, using the formula that I have right up there for me, my red dot I said would be 0.2 and my yellow dot I said would be 0.1. So first I need to figure out what are my x and y coordinates. So on this point, my x value, I go straight down, is -3, and my y value, I go straight across, is 5. And for this one, I have an x value of -1 and a y value of 2. All right. Y2, since I said this would be my point number 2, that's going to be y2. And this one will be y1. So y2 minus y1. So I have 5 minus 2 on top. And then on the bottom, this is x2, this is x1. So I have -3 minus -1. And it's really important to remember that the minus is there on the top and the bottom, regardless of what sign follows it. So my x1 value happens to be -1, but that negative sign does not replace the subtraction sign. So on top I have 5 minus 2, that gives me 3. And on the bottom I have -3 minus -1, so that becomes adding, that gives me -2. Now notice my negative sign, when I counted, was with the top value. It doesn't really matter. In math, we like to write it actually in front of both values. So we would prefer to see it as -3/2, kind of out here in the front. All three of these are the exact same answer. So checking it using the formula worked just the same. All right, let's do another super quick one where we're just counting the boxes. So again, I look for 2 points that are exactly on my grid lines. Looks like they're all there. All right, so these two are super close. So if I count from here, I notice I went up 1 and I went over 1. So my slope is 1/1, and that could simplify to 1. Maybe you're thinking, but wait, what if you picked different points? Okay, let's make this a little bigger. Let's say instead of those points, I picked this one and this one. All right, I still want to know how much do I go up? 1, 2, 3. So I went up 3 boxes. How much do I go over? 1, 2, 3. I went over 3. 3/3 simplifies to 1 or 1/1. So it doesn't matter which points you choose as long as they are on the grid lines and that you simplify your final answer. All right, now sometimes they just give you the 2 points. They don't give you a graph at all. So here are our 2 points, and here's our slope formula. And this one I'm going to try to break it down a little better by highlighting in order to help you make sure you know which points are which. So first I'm going to start by deciding which point will be point 1 and which point will be point 2. Let's make this one number, sorry about that. Let's make this one number 2, and this is going to be point number 1. All right. So it says in my formula that I need y2 first. So I'm going to highlight which one's y2. That's this one. That's going to replace this value right here. So going to write it out, I start with 10. And I'm going to keep the m equals at the front. So 10 minus, and now it says I need y1. That would be this guy right here. So that will replace this. 10 minus -2 over. Now I need my x values. So x2, sorry about that. X2 would be this guy right here. So that will replace this in our formula. So we have -11 minus, and finally we need x1, which would be this last value, and that replaces this one. So that's 19. All right, I have it all written out now. So I'm going to do the arithmetic. 10 minus -2. If you're not sure, put it in your calculator, but that turns into 12. And on the bottom, we have -11 minus 19. I like to look at it as plus a negative, so I end up with -30. This is a correct answer, but I want to simplify it. I know both of these values has a 2 in it, and as I look a little closer, I realize both of them also have a 6. So I'm going to divide both by 6 in order to get my simplified answer of 2 over -5. So my final answer is -2 over 5. All right, guys, that was as short as I can make it. I hope this helped. The next video, we're going to go over finding the slope from a table.